Please come in. You're right on time. The door only opens when the clock strikes midnight. Georgia and Hannah are preparing to broadcast from the belfry. Just like this old bell tower, they have many stories to tell. Some old and some new. Follow me up these stairs, but mind your step. Ah, they're waiting for you.
I really like when you yell at Milo, it's bruh. And when I yell at Luna, it's girl.
Or I say, hey. Oh, he's marking.
This is my litter box, bitch.
Yeah. We know.
You're the only one using it, homie.
There's no one else here.
Ugh.
You have litter on your nose, you fuck.
Well, the bud maker is gonna get here today.
Oh, slay.
Hell yeah.
That's replacing hell yeah for me, if you didn't notice.
I will never. You're regressing.
Yeah. I just want to get this last question down. Hold on.
Okay.
Or this last topic down.
Should I tell you about my ghost hunting experience first? Or
Sure.
I don't
I want to hear
know.
about it.
Okay.
We can swap. I don't have a you'll see.
Yeah,
I might have mentioned it before. I don't remember.
I don't have any ghost stories, but I can talk about my mom's new thing, and if we need to fill some time, we could make Shannon talk about his parents' house.
Don't worry. I have a lot.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I have like 4 pages of notes, but a lot of them are like it's just copy and pasted from when I did a whole episode about the ghost hunt on the old show. So, because I do have like a little bit of background on the building too, because I think that is relevant when you're, looking for ghosts that are supposed to be there, right? So, in November of 2020, I masked the fuck up and went to Springfield, Missouri to do a ghost hunt with Carly, my high school BFF. And we like stayed the night there and everything. And this ghost hunt was at Pythian Castle.
Pythian Castle.
Yes. There is an episode of Ghost Adventures that goes here. And in the old rendition, BuzzFeed Unsolved, the Ghoul Boys also go there. Now, Pythian Castle was built in 1913 by the Knights of Pythias, which is a fraternal organization that was started in 1864. Their website says that they have domains all across the US and Canada and Europe. And, quote, our order bases its lessons and builds its ritual largely on the familiar story of Damon and Pythias. These historical characters lived 400 or more years before the beginning of the Christian era. They were members of a school founded by Pythagoras, who was known as the father of Greek philosophy. Their loyalty to each other, the adventures that beset them, and the outcome of this noble friendship formed the basis of one of the most beautiful stories of history, as exemplified in our ritual. They were roommates. I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, they were roommates.
FDR and Warren Harding were both Knights of Pythias. About 15 castles still exist in the US, but Springfield's is the most unique because it looks the most like a castle. And interestingly, the exterior walls are made from local Carthage limestone from a nearby quarry. And as discussed, limestone is supposed to be a great conductor of paranormal energy. And the walls were 2 feet thick, which was great for us when we got there because even though it was November, there was literally a tornado warning happening. It was massive storm. It was crazy. It was like the perfect night to go ghost hunting, actually.
Hell yeah.
The castle was built instead of like a typical lodge, it was more of like a home So one of the benefits of membership was that if a member died prematurely, their children could go there to be taken care of, like an
Mhm.
orphanage, but then also a retirement home. So if a member died, their spouse could go live there, or they could go live there as well and just be taken care of. In 1942, it was commandeered by the military and served as a space for officers and entertainment associated with the military hospital next door. There were USO dances there, the service club, and later in the war, it was used to hold prisoners of war from Germany, Italy, and Japan. 15,000 prisoners of war came through Missouri, and 75 is how many were believed to be at that castle specifically, including German SS officers. And after
Hmm.
the war, it was reserved as a training facility until 1980, and it was added to the National Registry of Historic Places in 2009, and it's now a private residence. And the current owners didn't know that it was supposed to be haunted when they bought it. Also, who the fuck needs something like that as a private residence? It's huge. And so going into the ghost hunt, we basically knew what we had read online or what we had learned from Ghost Adventures and BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Hmm.
So for the most part, it seemed that we knew that prisoners of war had been kept there during military occupation. We knew that Zach Baggins had claimed to see a pair of glowing orange eyes and thought it was a demonic presence. We knew that several suicides had happened there, including a guy who cut his own throat with a razor and a guy who shot himself with a rifle, as well as a much more recent suicide had happened there. And that one was from the it was the brother of a guide, and they were there house sitting together. The owners, her name is Tamara, and her mother, they're in the Ghost Adventures episode, they seem a little unhinged, but in person they're also like very intense. They don't like to leave the house unattended ever, so if they're gone, they usually have people, and it seems like often their tour guides come and like house sit for them and stay at the house. And so the guide who was house sitting that particular night with her brother, she had had a premonition one night, and 3 weeks later was when he had committed suicide. And the same night, a radiator in the castle threw itself off the wall. And then the other thing we knew is that disembodied voices and whistling had been heard a ton, and that the place has pretty bad reviews because people think the owner is rude. Like I said, she was very
Well,
intense.
yeah.
Yeah. So we show up, it's raining sideways, it's storming, there's a tornado warning. We get signed in, and it was one of those things where like the third party is what who's conducting the ghost hunt.
Hmm.
And you like sign up. So you have a got like a local tour guide from the place itself give you a tour beforehand. So you kind of know you know get your orientation, you get their side of the story, and then the third party takes over and you do the actual ghost hunt. And so there were like, I don't know, maybe 15 people in our group. I remember we got taken downstairs into where the kitchen currently is that used to be the men's bathroom, and I'm standing there, and the tour guide goes right where you're standing, and that's where the guy was believed to have slit his own throat with a razor, and I was
Oh,
just like, great, of course I would stand here.
of course.
Um, the tour guide told us at one time he was house sitting and playing a card game with his cousin, and not this tour guide, but he was telling a story of another tour guide. He was house sitting and playing a card game with his cousin, and she complained about hearing weird noises. And he's like, "It's an old house, just ignore it." And then they heard like a loud yoo-hoo. And they were later told that there was the ghost of a boy there who wanted to be played with, and no one was paying attention to him.
Oh my God.
And they had like the actual EVPs and everything.
Mhm.
I tried to find them because I recorded everything, and I tried to find it so I could play them for you, but they might be backed up somewhere, but I couldn't find them. Um, Todd, our tour guide, he said that Zach Baggins and all his demon talk is actual bullshit. There were a lot of orbs supposed to be captured here, which I don't think is anything.
Yeah.
The laundry room and the boilers in a separate building out back are still owned by the military. That's where the prisoners of war were taken, mostly the SS officers, it sounds like. And they were transported to the separate building by tunnels in the main basement where there's an interrogation room. And there was like a chair there. You could like go in, and I probably have some pictures too I can post. And the tunnel between the main house and this laundry area is where this ghost called Mr. Boots is supposed to live. And if you like yell his name, he's supposed to like tap on the pipes and respond to you. But all this, yeah. This was also my first experience with the Estes method. Do you know what that is?
Mm-mm.
So it's where you it's it's using the spirit box, like the radio,
Yeah.
skipping through the signals. But
Yes.
but it's like a two-person team. And so one person listens to the spirit box through headphones,
Mm-hmm.
and you're supposed to be blindfolded as well. Like it's very sensory deprivation-y. And so all you're listening to is this radio. And then the
Mm-hmm.
other person is asking questions. And so the person who is blindfolded and listening to the spirit box, anytime they hear anything come through on the radio, they just say it out loud. And it's supposed to be a more accurate method because the person listening doesn't know what questions are being asked.
Mm-hmm.
So it's supposed to be more accurate because you can gauge if you're actually getting intelligent responses or not.
Yeah.
Carly kept trying to get me to go up and volunteer to do it, but absolutely not. Just
I would have done it. You kidding? Ghosts aren't real.
it was more like I was already overstimulated, and the thought
Yeah.
of being deprived of my vision and my hearing and only have that stupid radio skipping, I was like, fuck no.
Oh my God. If I was overstimulated, I'd be like, yes, take my sight away. Let's go, bitch. I want to hear like, I want to hear it.
It's because you're an ASMR bitch and I'm not. That's my
Yep. I don't
theory.
know. Like the repeated noises is
Yeah.
like soothing.
So there's a lot of like random stuff there, but needless to say, I had no experiences, unfortunately. As I said
Mm.
before, I've never had an experience that would make me believe in anything. Carly did get used as basically like a human pendulum,
Cool.
which was kind of cool just to witness. I don't know if there's any merit to what was happening, but
Whatever.
if I can find the clip of that, I think I took a video. If I can find it, I will post that as well. But yeah, that's like the correct way to do a spirit box session, apparently, not just like hold it like Zach Baggins does.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think we could easily do something similar
Yeah. We
and see
sure
what
we
happens.
could try
There's
for
a place,
sure.
there's a place down by my parents' house, Ashmore Estates. It's like an hour from here, and you can book. It's like $50 a night to book a tour, and they do them pretty regularly. So we
Nice.
wouldn't even have to travel, like all the way to Springfield or something to
We could literally go to Seth's parents' house and try and communicate with the
with like,
ghosts of the 1840s.
hell yeah, let's do that.
Because all of Benjamin's old woodworking equipment, or not all of it, but they still have a lot of it, like the
Hmm.
stuff that he touched with his bare hands,
Nice.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's their garage now. They keep all their extra big stuff in there, so you know.
Yeah. Oh, cow equipment.
No, that's in the barn garage
Oh, okay. Oh, there's
or the
two
bar or the
different.
barn.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's two different ones. Well, there's like the shed. That's where the tractor's kept
Sure,
and
sure,
the
sure, sure, sure.
tractor hookups and stuff. And then the garage, which used to be the house, or like with the woodworking shop, and then living quarters upstairs. That's like the garage kind of. They keep
Yeah.
their lawnmower and bicycles and kayaks in there and stuff.
Nice.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
My ghost hunting experience is so much lamer. I might have mentioned it on the pod before, or I might have mentioned it to you in person. I can't quite remember. I was quite young. I think I was under 10. Or no, I actually think it might have been my first ever youth group event at my church. And one of the church members, who was the grandma of one of the other youth group members, her name is Becky. My mom will know who I'm talking about. She's a character.
Becky.
She
Becky.
has or had dowsing rods.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, you
in
told
the
me about this.
nighttime, she was like, let's do it. Like, let's get it set up. And a few of us like got together and kind of followed her around. We started in the main, or like the parish hall, where we would all meet and, have breakfast or whatever. That's where the Christmas tea was. That's where like meetings were held and stuff. And it is a newer part of the church, obviously, compared to when the actual like stone church was erected. But the land that the church sits on is the original structure is the oldest building, or was the oldest building, first one ever put down in Medina Township, in like the whole county, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So it has a lot of history. And I think this was our bicentennial was in the teens. So I think it was like 1812 or 1811 or something like that. And so she knew this. She was like, let's go find some ghosts. Pulled out her dowsing
Oh my
rods.
God.
I don't entirely know what happened, but like she used it in the way that like they pointed the direction she knew the ghost to be, and then when she pointed it that way, the dowsing rods would like come straight, like parallel to one another.
Mm-hmm.
And then she asked questions, and that like crossing in front of each other would be yes, and then moving apart would be no.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee she was just moving them with her hands because duh, she's got kids, it's like an audience or whatever. You're
Yeah.
supposed to like hold them loosely in your hands, so it's also possible like the
They're
weight
just swirling.
equilibrium, they're
Mm-hmm.
just going right. um well, yeah, so she took us around the parish hall, through the double doors, and into the sanctuary, which is like the church. And that was erected, I believe, in the 1890s. uh Everything very Victorian, all the stained glass. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But we had all of the lights off in there, and the only light was coming through like the far, like circular stained glass at the back of the church, because there's like a freaking, what am I trying to say? There's a light that they turn on to shine up so people on the street can see the stained glass. Anyway,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
the only light was coming through that, and she goes to like stand in the ray of light, and then the dowsing rods just started going crazy, and we were like, okay, we're done now. And we just left. Like, she asked all the typical questions like, are you here to harm us? Like, what do you have anything you want to tell us?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Like, how old are you? Are you a child? Like,
Yeah.
I don't remember the results of that. I just remember I was like, this is whack. This is crazy.
We were just watching, like as you know, we've been doing a run through of like all the like BuzzFeed Unsolved and all that kind of stuff, and we started watching Weird and Wonderful World, which is another one of their shows on Watcher.
Mm-hmm.
And the first episode, they go to this curiosity shop in LA, and they end up doing a seance, and the person running the seance uses dowsing rods, and
Mm-hmm.
basically Alfred Hitchcock was there with them, and they were asking questions. Oh, like he's right behind me, yeah, because like the dowsing rod, one of them like pointed behind her, like he's right behind me, and they they were like, "Oh, do you think people should eat popcorn with your movies?" And he was like, "No." And then
What?
they were like, do you want us to eat grapes with your movies?"
So
And they
silly.
crossed. So they're like, "All right, people eat grapes when you watch Alfred Hitchcock movies."
Okay, I guess that's like bougier, or maybe he thought it was funny and was like, you know what? Yeah,
Or maybe it's all bullshit.
or that. It'd
Yeah.
be so much funnier though
It
if
was, and
Alfred Hitchcock's ghost was like, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, I want you to eat
yeah,
grapes
eat grapes.
when
Yeah.
you watch my movies.
It was also just really funny to watch because Shane is such a skeptic, as
Yeah,
anyone familiar with these two will know. And he is like trying so hard not to laugh the entire when she's like,
yeah,
"Okay, yeah, he's here with us," and he's just like trying so hard not to laugh. It's so funny. Anyway.
yeah. I did. It wasn't really a ghost hunt, but I went on a ghost tour in the vaults in Edinburgh.
Mm-hmm.
That was really fun. That was a lot of fun. It is so creepy down there.
Yeah,
Also, those are carved out of limestone.
they sure are.
Like the structure of them is limestone. And so they're thought to be all haunted because the spirits of the people that died down there, or who died and just happened to be associated with activity that went on in the vaults, like
Yeah.
thievery and smuggling and all that crap. Um their spirits are now attached to the stone. One thing
Oh.
I don't really remember a lot of the specific ghost stories, but I do remember there was one vault room set up that was funded and cared for by a coven of witches, because it was that room was thought to have been used for rituals before, and anytime anyone ever set foot in there who was not a part of the coven was cursed.
Oh.
And so they put in a barred door, and then had all of these like important objects around. They had like the ritual circle in the middle. They had like lit candles in there. And our tour guide was like, yeah, someone probably came down here a little while ago and made sure those were lit, because they know that we have tours down here
Mm-hmm.
at certain times. And it's like, oh my God. So like, yeah, and they don't allow anyone to go in there. It's like there's a big
Oh
padlock.
my
And
God.
yeah, it was really cool. There were all kinds of like, I remember there were like dead flowers and stuff, and there were like the little trinkets that presumably people had left behind, coins that people threw in, you know. That was really cool.
This time next week, I will have been on a ghost tour in Lincoln. So I'll have to
Nice.
report back. Speaking of, actually, this is episode 20. As we did after our first 10 episodes, we're taking another break because
Yep.
I'm going to be in England. Uh,
Yeah.
well, not by the time we come out. By the time episode 20 comes out, we'll be doing a bunch of other shit.
Yeah, it'll be the end of June, I think.
We'll be doing a lot of traveling over the next month or so. So we need
Yeah.
time to
So
catch up.
it's
Um,
good we're having a break now in recording,
yeah,
because we need that time to catch up. But then later on, like when that's going to be uploaded, we'll also need like another break. So it's all,
yeah,
our June is like
yeah.
insane,
But stay
insane in the
tuned.
membrane.
We will post any relevant pictures of our travels on our
Yes.
Instagram again. Because we went on a lot of ghost tours in New Orleans and we posted pictures about that. Hopefully I'll be posting pictures of my ghost tour in Lincoln and my super private expensive tour with a guy that dresses up as Robin Hood for a living and was on that episode of Expedition Unknown. I'm getting a tour from that guy. It's gonna be a great
I
time.
feel like the expense is worth it though.
I mean, it's
Like it's
$50
not
or
even,
well, £50 a person. It's £50 a
yeah,
person for a 2 hour private personalized tour.
like that sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure we would have done that in New Orleans if we could have.
Oh God, yeah.
So Yeah. Anyway, more ghost tours coming your way.
More ghost
Eh,
tours.
eh, eh.
So, speaking of these locations that like have ghosts, you talked about place memory.
Memory.
One of one of the places that I mentioned, Bangor Fort, that like
Hmm.
had the curse put on it, now is haunted with all of the ghosts of the people that died when the buildings collapsed and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have any places in your life or in your memory that you think have like place memory of ghosts? Right?
Um,
Because I have like the church that I went to growing up.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think everywhere has to,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not, I guess it's more significant if something more traumatic happened there. I don't like everywhere has to have a
Yeah.
place memory. That's kind of what geology and history is, right? Like,
Yeah. It's
um,
sort of like you mentioned, like the stronger the feelings are, the more
yeah. Well, it makes me
present.
think, I mean, I don't want to keep talking about suicide, but have
But
you heard of that suicide forest in Japan?
yes, the
That
one that Logan Paul or Jake Paul or which one of them visited
that's that place
and
has to
ruined.
have, I mean, just to like go in there, I'm sure it just feels heavy regardless. Like
Yeah.
just knowing that so many people go there to end their own lives, that has to have like a very heavy memory.
Yeah. And there are probably a lot of places throughout the world that just feel terrible, maybe because a place experienced a lot of death. Like,
Yeah, like if you went to Wounded Knee or something, like I would probably
mhm,
cry.
yeah.
Just
Or
or people visiting Gettysburg saying that like it really resonated with them in like a certain way because for one reason or another.
yeah, I didn't feel that, but
Um, yeah.
yeah. I just think of like people visiting concentration camps too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then like, do you think it works the opposite way? Like good memories?
I hope so.
Like everyone asks me, "Oh, how was New Orleans?" And I'm like, "It was fucking great. I had a great time." Is that because a lot of people have a good time in New Orleans and like
Because they're all drunk all the
it's
time,
just got a
maybe.
vibe about it, It's just like
The vibes were really great,
good vibes
honestly.
only.
Um, yeah, I mean, the first thing I thought of, honest to God, was oh God, what is that place called? The concert hall in Cleveland that I performed in when I was in high school. Something about being in there, you just feel so emotional and like so moved without
Yeah.
anything happening.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a good tie into my mom's ghosty, ongoing
yeah.
experience. Because she is convinced that something followed her back from her walk on Hadrian's Wall.
Hmm.
And she thinks it started when she went to Lanercost Priory, which is a location along Hadrian's Wall, because that was one of those moments when she walked in and she was just like struck by the history and the atmosphere. She just had this like she was very moved from being there. And she's convinced that this spirit followed her. She doesn't think it's a ghost. She thinks, listen, guys, my mom's out there, okay? Um, she thinks it's like an actual spirit, like a land spirit, one of these Celtic minor deities or something like that. And she's convinced that this thing followed her back and she now lives in the well. And if a woman opens the well, it's just like, whoa, that's a weird vibe. But if a man opens the well, it's like, fuck that. I don't know what's going on here, but I don't feel good about it. So my mom's like, she doesn't like men. She likes women. She's got a vibe. I have not experienced this. I lived with my parents for 9 months during COVID. I have no idea. I did not know at the time that this was a thing. Um, but that's a thing that's going on in my personal, indirectly in my personal life.
There are people I see on Facebook too who are like, they're I saw a sign from my grandmother from beyond the grave, that kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
people just see things and then they like kind of
yeah,
appropriate that with some sort of spirit, whether it be like their ancestors or another
right.
thing, right? You just come up with explanations like that sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, like I keep saying, I would love to believe, but I've never had a personal experience. But even when I moved into this house, remember I like walked all over it with incense and I was like, no bad vibes here. If you're a bad energy, if you have bad spirit, you get the fuck out of my house. But Mary's mom, Winnie, if you're here, you can stay. It's fine. It's your
Oh my
house.
god. Yeah, you can chill.
And I went
Um,
all over my house, like with this incense, like, get the fuck out of my house.
so you don't think that you'll ever experience like signs from your dead relatives, or you want to?
I would love to. I mean, I've told you I'm gonna set up that ancestor altar. That kind of got derailed when someone moved in with me, but
Oh my god.
you know, but I have been
Rude.
like collecting things. When my grandma, when I was last in England, I went to, sorry, I just got a NPR notification that Ed Dwight, America's first Black astronaut candidate, has finally made it to space at age 90. Isn't that delightful?
Oh my god, 90.
What a time.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, like I've been wanting to set up this ancestor altar, and I don't really like expect anything from the spirits of my ancestors. For me, it's more of just like I don't know, like a little in memoriam kind of vibe
Yeah,
when
you're
when I
you're honoring them even though you don't
yeah,
expect them to, react to it in any way.
yeah. And like
It's for your own personal benefit.
I took from my grandma's like little vanity when I was last over there for her funeral, she had these like this little like Saint Dorothy card, and it's just like a little illustration of Saint Dorothy
Mhm.
and then like what she's a saint of and all of that. And I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna take this because that'll boop, put that on my little altar."
Yeah.
So I'll get it set up one day.
Yeah. I haven't really experienced any signs or whatever omens, messages
No.
from my dead ancestors or my
Mary,
dead relatives or anything like that.
yeah, Mary, I remember, I think I've told you this before, but like Mary always said that she sees her mom as monarch butterflies. And
Hmm.
like when Alex graduated, like there were a bunch of monarch butterflies like around when they were taking his pictures and that. And I remember the day it was like right after everything happened last year, and I was leaving therapy, and Mary and I had just decided that I would move into this house. And I had been talking with my therapist about it and like how I was gonna be making this like safe space for myself and like embark on my healing journey and all that. And as I walked out of the building, there was like two monarch butterflies like around the bush, and I was just like, oh, it's not my ancestor, but it kind of seemed like a sign in its own right. Like,
See, that counts.
so I don't know.
There you go.
I'd like to believe. It was also, May and butterflies are out in May, but
There sure are. If you just happen to believe in a dual afterlife, what
mhm.
would your heaven and hell look like?
Oh man, I don't know.
I can go first.
Yeah, okay.
So my hell would look like this, except there are no good things that happen to me. You know how I kind of accept that I live my life in ups and downs, and I'm just happy. I
Yeah.
am
I'm,
unlucky a
I'm
lot of
just
the
happy to
time.
be here. Yeah.
It's only unlucky things. Like I
Hmm.
receive no pleasure from life. I'm constantly stressed and anxious, and it just never ends. I can never sleep.
You're constantly
And
driving, and it's just red light after red light after red light after
oh
red
my
light after red
God.
light.
Yeah. Well, I like have to go to work every day. And every time I go to work, there's 1,800 problems, and I can never actually work on my own thing. And I,
Yeah.
yeah, I stop at every red light and I go to get coffee, and it tastes like sewer water. And, like all of life's inconveniences. And I'm just anxious and depressed all the time. And I'm not allowed to kill myself. I just come right back. You know, I think that heaven for me would be the opposite. I think it would be only good things and only pleasures in life, and nothing would be difficult and nothing would be stressful. And there's all the time in the world that I have to do whatever I want. I could probably
Hmm.
stop time if I wanted to. And, you
I
know,
think, yeah, I think.
everyone told me how much they love me all the time and specifically why.
Oh, so you still need to be validated even in heaven. Okay.
Absolutely. That's what makes it heaven, bro.
You don't think you just wouldn't need to be validated? You wouldn't feel the need to be validated
No, I
because
think
you're at peace with
I think that would
yourself?
solve all of my problems.
I do like if I were to picture heaven, kind of like one of those retreats we've been talking about, like right there, like the French one where you can like go walk around the gardens if you want to, or there's like a painting of where or a table where you can go and like paint, or you can
Mhm.
go horseback riding, something like that. That just sounds really nice. Like
Like at a chateau in France.
any activity in the world you can think of, there's like a room where you can go in and do that, or
Yeah, that sounds great.
or a door that goes into a field where you can go and do that, or
And you go do it and you're instantly perfect at it.
oh yeah, because we know I don't like doing things I'm not good at, except
Mhm.
bowling.
Well, yeah,
It's the
me
only
too.
thing. It's the only thing I'm not good at that I still have fun doing. I think my first reaction on the opposite end of the spectrum is a waiting room
Oh God.
because I am so notoriously impatient that
I just got a full
just
body shiver.
just sitting in a waiting room like endlessly. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And like the bathroom's kind of like the bathroom's not disgusting, but it's like too dirty for you to be comfortable. And you've already read all the magazines.
And you just chugged like a giant iced coffee.
Yeah.
And
You
so you
have
have to
you
poop
have
so bad.
coffee, but it's like doesn't like this coffee, like oh they didn't put the sweetener in it.
It tastes like sewer
Like
water.
it's fine, but it could be a lot better. Like
Yeah.
everything's just gray, millennial gray, a millennial gray waiting room.
You briefly mentioned that ghosts, it's sort of widely accepted that ghosts have like an electrical field.
Hmm.
And I think we've talked about this before, not on the pod, but like maybe just previously.
Hmm.
That's because the human body is
Brain,
electrical
yeah,
too. Yeah. Like the
yeah.
nervous system. Yeah. And that kind of goes back to what I was talking about the soul. So, does that mean the soul is electric? If that is what remains? Because isn't it technically the body? But like, so if your nervous system is what controls you and what makes you think, then that would be the soul,
Yeah.
right? That's what makes you a person.
Because yeah, when you die, your electric
It
impulses
stops.
in your brains stop.
Yeah. But so the Mesopotamian creation story, the whole thing about like the mud of the earth joining with the soul of an immortal god
Hmm.
kind of thing, then how would an apparition have a body, right? If the body is the
Yeah.
thing that doesn't continue, is it because the brain is able to conjure up the apparition. Does this make any sense? Like, this is
Well,
kind of
it's
hard to
that
think about.
that's like goes back to how like the Earth has a magnetic field, right?
Yeah.
So the ghosts are then manipulating the electrical energy of the spirit interacts with the magnetic field
Of the body, of
of the
which we are from
Earth.
the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I said earlier,
I'm trying to be a scientist,
it's
Georgia.
like science kind of makes sense to a certain point, and then there's just a gap.
Yeah.
And it's like, is there a gap because it's not real? Is there a gap because we still don't have a full understanding? I think it was Brian Cox who said that like quantum physics has basically disproven the fact that ghosts can exist.
Yeah.
But man, I feel like we learn something new about quantum physics every day.
We really do. Still being developed. Another one of my questions was like, what kind of scientific advancements do we need to prove or disprove? And I think
Yeah.
we just gotta keep forking money over into quantum physics.
Yeah. And I think a lot of equipment that people do use when they are ghost hunting, like it is science based,
Hmm.
but because it has to be so sensitive in order for something as delicate as a disembodied spirit to be able to manipulate it, then it's easy for other, phone signals or other things to manipulate it too. So it's like, I get that you're trying to be scientific about it, but also like, how do you have a controlled environment in which to ensure that this is accurate?
I know we've kind of really done that to ourselves by becoming a more technological world, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So I have one more thing.
Okay.
It kind of stems, we started talking about it like very briefly at one point, when in my episode, a lot of cultural traditions sort of lie in doing good deeds to
Mm-hmm.
influence the results in what comes after death, either in an afterlife or in the next life. So, what about that actually means you will end up in a good place if your intentions are selfish? Like, why does this higher being or whatever
Yeah.
want me to give a shit about where I'll end up? Why wouldn't they care about right now?
Yeah.
It's strange.
It kind of goes back to that conversation we had in our last discussion episode about demons. Like,
Yeah. Like, what's really the point? And I think you made a very good point in saying that, like, the whole thing that atheists doing good deeds are more
mm-hmm,
righteous than Christians, for example, doing good
mm-hmm.
deeds to go to heaven or to not be raptured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To avoid being tortured as they would believe for all eternity.
Yeah. So that's why I really like the Jewish philosophy of just doing good deeds and helping other people now because
Mm-hmm.
you can.
Yeah. That's why I really like Satanism.
Yeah. It's called being a kind person
Yeah.
because, you know, being a person kind of sucks. Being a
Being a
human
person
being
is hard.
sucks.
It's hard and it's depressing. And
Literally, all we have
yeah.
is each other and our pets,
Yeah.
but, they can't talk to us.
So if we can make each other's days better by like, I don't know, bringing fresh baked pie to our friends,
Exactly.
as I am currently waiting for Kat to show up with fresh baked pie.
Yeah.
Why not? Or if we
Exactly.
can enter into a world of escapism via Discord in the evenings.
Yeah, we should all just be kinder to each other. I think that's a lesson that we bring up a lot in these episodes.
Yeah.
Like, we should just be nice. We
Like
should
people
just be
suck.
nice, everybody.
The world is hard, and you don't need to make it harder by just being a shitty person.
Yeah. And you don't need to make up monsters or demons or excuses to
Accountability. Let's
to be
go.
mean.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
So the one last thing I wanted to talk about,
Hmm.
we'll end on a less depressing note, but like, what are your favorite movies and shows that feature ghosts? Don't say supernatural. We already talked
Oh,
about that.
I wasn't gonna say supernatural. Uh ooh. Oh, what is that one movie? Oh my God.
Do you want me to go
Hold on.
first?
Yeah.
Crimson Peak is one of my all-time favorite movies
Oh,
these
that's a good
days.
one.
I mean, not just because Tom Hiddleston's in it, but and you see his butt. Um, but it's a good traditional gothic ghost story, so I'm a big fan of that one. Um, there Ghosts, the show, it's available on Max if you have Max. The BBC one is available on Max, and then there was an American version of it, which is available on Paramount. It's very funny. 10 out of 10 recommend. And also a show I completely forgot about, but I watched during COVID. It's called True Seekers. It's a Nick Frost and Simon Pegg show. And Nick Frost is this guy. He sets up like internet or something, I think, or like cell service. I think it's cell service. And he is also a paranormal investigator. It's very funny. It's very also kind of like poignant. There was only
Mm,
one season of it. It got canceled after one season, but it's worth watching if you're into like British TV. It's on
yeah.
Amazon. It's a Prime original. So
Okay.
10 out of 10 recommend.
Um, Insidious was the
Oh
movie I was
yeah.
thinking of. I really like that one. I saw the first two. I didn't see any of the others. Uh,
I saw
Terrified
the
me.
first one, but
Terrified
again, I'm
me.
not really into horror movies, so
Right.
I did watch the first
I
one. Is that
I think that's the best one, but I
that's the
mean,
one with like the tiptoe through the tulips?
that's the second.
That's the second one. Okay, well I saw the first two then. Unfortunately for me.
At least I'm pretty sure.
Does Phantom of the Opera count? He's a phantom
Oh
after
no, it
all.
is the just from the second. Whatever. Anyway, um, I did also want to mention I used to be very, very into paranormal activity.
Oh yeah.
All of those. I've seen all of them. I've
I
seen
haven't
the
seen any of them.
I've seen the third one like two or three times. Well, there's a lot of them.
Yeah,
I
I
think
haven't seen any
there's
of those. I haven't seen any of the Conjuring movies.
oh, that's fine. But I used to be really into it and but it was because before I started watching them, I looked up the plot and
Hmm.
like when the jump scares would be so I was aware and that made me
That's
actually able
yeah.
to pay attention to what was going on. I literally didn't care about spoilers. I was like, I know these movies are
I know a
trash.
lot of people don't care about or do care about spoilers, but I don't, and I think it's because I do have such bad anxiety
You just have to know what's going on at
that
all
like
times.
if I know to expect something in a movie that I'm watching for the first time, like I'm more likely to watch it. Like these movies, especially lately, a lot of movies come out where people are like, "Oh, it's better if you don't know anything about it when you go into watching it." I'm not going to watch it then. I need to know what to expect for my
Hmm.
own sake. Like I cannot I need to be medicated and I'm not. So I need to have some expectations.
You could get medication, just go on brightside.com.
Ugh. Well, I need to switch therapists, but
Well, yeah, that too.
get one that's actually covered by my insurance to who has the ability to write prescriptions.
But TV shows, Ghost Hunters.
Well, yeah, Ghost Hunters.
I
I
wanted to marry Grant when I was young. I like cried hard when I
I
found out he
mean,
was married.
he used to be pretty cutie patootie back
Yeah,
in
he
the
was a
day.
cutie. And then I really
Um,
liked Steve.
he was very gentle as well, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
liked Steve and Tanko. They were such a pair.
yeah, yeah.
Loved them. My sister and I had a song. Um, it's not even a song, it's just like
A ditty.
a little jingle thing that I will not sing now.
Damn it.
But when I remember, oh my God, the memories are flooding back. We used to be really into ghost hunters when we were staying at my grandparents' house in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister and I would sleep in the basement because that's where there was a lot of room. And in case we like stayed up watching TV or something, we wouldn't be disturbing anyone else.
Yeah.
Because it was just the one floor and then the basement. And it's on like the hillside that goes down to the river. So it's like cut into the
Mm-hmm.
side of the hill. Anyway, in the middle of the night, we would play pretend that we were the ghost hunters.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And so we would like play the different characters and be hunting ghosts in my grandparents' basement.
Nice.
And that just suddenly came to me because I remember one time I tried to scare my sister hiding behind a pole that was like this big. I was quite young, so I didn't know. I hid behind a pole and tried to scare her, and she just stared at me like with wide eyes, like she was a ghost or something. It's like, oh my gosh. But yeah,
Ghost
we
Hunters
we
was great.
even did the whole like performing thing as if it was the TV show. So you had like the historical interview beforehand where you talk to the homeowner, and then you
Yeah.
have like all the lights shut out and
Oh my
the
God.
the the camera that can the night camera or
Yeah,
whatever,
night
night
vision.
vision
Yeah.
gets set up, and then they go do their hunting, and then there's the debrief at the end where they go over the footage. Like we did the whole
Yeah.
shebang. It was so much fun.
That stuff started coming out like I mean, well, I don't really know when it came out, but I started watching that a lot when I for very first lived on my own for the first time ever, which was actually when I moved to Greensburg. And I would on my DVR, I would have Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, and Destination Truth, which is Josh Gate's first show,
Oh my goodness.
where they do a lot of ghost hunting and cryptid hunting. And someone used to come over to my apartment back in the day, late at night, and just watched some of those shows with me. And yeah, that was like, I mean, Ghost Adventures is terrible, but I still love, I love to hate it, and I hate to love it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mostly love to hate it, I think, because Zach is so stupid.
They're very irritating.
It's the
That's what
drama. I'm in it for the
that's why
drama.
I love Taps
I
so
know.
much.
And I also really liked Ghost Hunters International when they would go to like the castles and stuff. And oh
Yeah.
yeah, those were the good episodes. I think that's why I like Destination Truth a lot because they were traveling all over the place. It wasn't just like different people's houses. It was like they were in the woods in the Philippines or, wherever. And
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. Good talk.
also I said all the shows and didn't mention, although I've mentioned it several times already, I obviously enjoy BuzzFeed Unsolved / Ghost Files.
Cool. Woo!
Tell us what you think about ghosties, people, I guess. Yeah.
Peace
Happy
out.
happy 4th of July,
Yeah.
says the British person.
British and American. You're allowed to claim it.
I don't
I give
want
you
to.
permission.
I don't want to.
Yeah, but
Um,
4th of July is when it's fun to claim being American. Because then you won't get made fun of for screeching like an eagle and such. You know,
I
setting
don't
off fireworks.
I don't do that anyway,
You could start.
but I don't even know what
There you
eagles
go.
screech.
It's like,
Well, that concludes this week's broadcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you wish to stay in touch, reach out to us at broadcastfromthebelfry@gmail.com or stalk us on Instagram at broadcastfromthebelfry. Again, I hope you've enjoyed our little show. Please rate and review. And until next week, stay